Phoenix Suns take a commanding 2-0 lead against the Los Angeles Clippers in a game that was highly contested. It was shot for shot in the fourth quarter, and there were just so many things to take away from there. There was a lot of controversial calls, especially with the Ayton Lob. A lot of people thought it was over the cylinder. I actually thought it was over the cylinder, but referees and replay, they confirmed the basket was good. Man, that Patrick Beverly slapped the ball out of Devin Booker's hands. That could have went either way, because one of the key things when that occurred that I was thinking was like, just because it's still in his hand, it could still be the momentum. Pat Bev slaps the ball out of his hand, so when the replay is slowing it down, is it still rolling out of the hand? Is Pat Beverly's hand still on it? But apparently they got that call right. Cameron Payne had a major game. He went off for big buckets, and I believe it was 29 or so. Look, if the Clippers want to win this series, they can't allow a backup point guard to get off on them like that. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. And Devin Booker to be struggling the way he was, he basically, in the fourth quarter, he just hit a shot right after Paul George's shot, but then Paul George came right back and hit a shot to give him the the go-ahead 1-point lead or whatever the case is. But you cannot allow all these other guys to get off. First, you can't allow Ayton to get that lob with 0.9 seconds left on the clock. They knew that only a lob could beat them, and it still happened. So then, and to me, that wasn't a Ty Lue issue. That was the player issue. With maybe Zubac should have been pressuring the ball, and Cousins should have been under the rim. But here's both the things. Both players, Zubac and DeMarcus Cousins, are vertically challenged. DeMarcus Cousins is vertically challenged due to the fact that he's basically fresh off an Achilles, like about a year removed or whatever the case is. And then you're looking at Zubac, he's always been essentially earthbound. So for Zubac to get dunked on like that was bad. Especially because you basically knew that was the only play that could beat you. With 0.9, you can't even really, get a shot and gather. And it would have to be like a quick tip or whatever the case is. And they still let that happen. So that was more execution of the players, because they had a big pressure in the ball and they had a big underneath, but he got picked by Devin Booker, and that's it. But here's to the pièce de résistance, like the masterpiece, the centerpiece of this game. It was Paul George's free throws. Paul George single-handedly won the game and lost the game all in one breath. He scored a go-ahead basket. Then the Patrick Beverly thing occurs with Devin Booker. Ball slaps out of his hand. Clippers ball. He gets fouled. You're like, man, if he makes one or two of these, it's basically over, because then you got to go for 3 to win or go for a tie. But you have no way of winning if he makes one. If he makes 2 of these, game over. Paul George is an 89% free throw shooter. You're thinking like, all right, this is in the bag. He misses the first one, which wasn't a bad miss. Like the first miss, it bobbled in, bobbled out. Like that was a good miss. They said a good miss, bad miss. I'll accept that miss. That second miss, bricked off the back iron. That showed me he was nervous in that situation. He was thinking. He was like, yeah, we get this 1-1. Yeah. Don't miss this. And he missed it. And I equate it to this. You guys remember all the hustlers in Harlem, all the guys all the biggest dope dealers or whatever the case is, that were popular. They've been glorified in music, but most of them snitched. Most of them, I would say 90% of them snitched. Even the biggest ones, the biggest killers, all this stuff, right? So every fly thing they ever did basically gets erased. I remember Dame Dash said that one time. He said every fly thing you ever did gets erased because you snitched on everybody. So what Paul George is experiencing now, everything he did to earn his playoff P name back, everything he did to get rid of that pandemic P name, with those 2 missed free throws, it got erased. And now we're back to calling them pandemic P and things of that nature. Going down 0-2 to the Phoenix Suns is not like going down 0-2 to the Mavs. it's not like going down 0-2. Well, you can say it's like going down 0-2 to the Utah Jazz. But not really, because the Utah Jazz have never had players in big leverage moments, and they've blown a 3-1 lead before in the bubble. When you're looking at the Phoenix Suns, who have Chris Paul, who played in the Western Conference Finals before, who's played in big games before. Now you got Devin Booker and guys that can get off just as much as you can, and now you're allowing Cameron Payne to get off. That's a different 0-2. That's like being down 0-3. Because this team, the Phoenix Suns, have not lost a game since like May 20. They won 9 straight. So to go down 0-2 to them is a big, large deficit that I don't think the Clippers are going to overcome unless Kawhi Leonard is somewhere back in that lineup, which we don't know what's going to happen. And then you got to factor this. Chris Paul's coming back. So they really blew that one. But here's what's a solace for them. They can hold solace in this, in the fact that Ty Lue always has said this. It's the first of 4, not the first of 2. And if he could keep these guys mentally sharp enough to go in there, do or die situations, because they can compete. They've shown that they can compete with the Phoenix Suns. Now, can they play it when Chris Paul comes back? That's yet to be seen. But they've shown that they can compete. So if they could just get solid games and be able to lock down one of those guys, which they did with Mikal Bridges. They kind of slowed him down a lot, but then Cameron Payne exploded, which that didn't make any sense to me. That was tough. That was tough to allow a backup point guard to get off on you like that. But if they could hold serve at home, now we're having a different story. But it just seems like such an insurmountable lead, and also just the way to lose that game on a lob like that. So we'll see how everything plays out. Who's Junction? Who's Me Supla? Like, comment, subscribe.